PASA's main focus in 2017 has been the Authenticated Collections project. It is one of the most comprehensive, complex projects that the South African financial services industry has tackled, and it really has already produced several challenges for us going forward. Now, the intent of this project is that it will produce a new kind of debit order called a DebiCheck debit order for all users, and this particular payment capability would be the icebreaker of a comprehensive modernization of South Africa's payments infrastructure.
Expectation of PASA on all participants in the NPS is ultimately to align with these projects that we are managing at this point in time, like the DebiCheck, the debit order regime. But if we only talk about architecture, that's not the only thing. We also are referring to the PASA review. We are familiar with the review of the MFSA Act as well. The main aim of all these exercises would be to get the whole industry involved. From a PASA review and a National Payment System Act review, and that is to broaden the landscape, to expand membership for PASA, and to see at the end of this year how we have expanded and how we managed to get more participants involved in the payment system.
Although the Authenticated Collections project is the icebreaker of a complete modernized electronic payment infrastructure or system, there's also a number of other things afoot this year in 2018 to modernize our payments infrastructure. So one of the big focuses this year is to, in the first 6 months of this year, is to consider the kind of logical design, or let's call it architecture, or even blueprint, we actually require of a future payment system. Now that means that we need to really look far into the future. These kinds of things aren't built every few years. We need to future-proof what we are doing with a view of this needs to last us 15, 20 years going forward. And who knows how quickly the world can change in the next 20 years.
There are many opportunities facing PASA, but not only PASA, but also all the national payment system stakeholders, the Reserve Bank, National Treasury, and all stakeholders in the payment system. We talk about architecture and aligning the payment system with best practice internationally. We're talking about DebiCheck, debit order regime, modernization of payments. But we cannot see that in isolation. We should see it in the context of a regulatory framework as well as proper governance. All of these will have to align with policy objectives. Now, the opportunities here is that all the regulators, PASA and from face value, all stakeholders are on the same page. And that will be the opportunity to get everyone on the page and developing all these aspects in a payment system, from architecture to regulation. And we're looking forward to all these opportunities that we have. The biggest challenges PASA, and again not to PASA only, but the entire industry is facing, is if this is not working. Now, what is this to use those opportunities? We know the Reserve Bank is busy with a PASA review, but also a review of the National Payment System Act. Even National Treasury is on board, and they have their own initiatives through the expert groups that they have appointed. If we don't get this right, if we don't use this opportunity as all stakeholders and all-inclusive system to develop this to the best interest of the national payment system, then we might face problems. We know we have additional challenges such as cybercrime and those issues, but the main focus here is on getting it right this time, aligning the architecture with best practice, getting our legal framework a sound basis for whatever we do, sort out our governance not only in PASA with expanded membership, and even align it with policy objectives right through from national objectives to the consumer objectives and including consumers in whatever we do. To improve the life of the end consumer or tabu at the mine, we would have to focus on the architecture. We would have to focus on technology, digitization, and the smoother payments and faster payments, efficient payments, and something that is accessible to any end consumer.
We will already have a debit check system that already has components of a modern payment system built into it. We'll see it functioning. It needs to be much more inclusive, put payments capability, electronic payments capability in the hands of the unbanked. It needs to be agile. It needs to be fast. So we're talking about immediacy or real time as a component, a design component of the system. It must be relevant for all participants. So we don't want to see a payments environment that is fragmented, where non-banks have certain payment systems and banks have other payment systems. We will have to look at one integrated payment system that accommodates all these players in an open infrastructure for everybody to plug in and do their thing. What we are going to have to design needs to be available to all. It must be widely spread. It must be consistent. It must look and feel the same for everybody to use. Secondly, I would like to highlight speed. People don't want to wait a day or 2 days before they actually see a payment, an electronic payment into their account. So it must be immediate. It must be real time. Thirdly, I would like to highlight interoperability. I think gone is the days where payment systems are closed loop, where this little group of people will do this and that little group of people will do that. These things need to communicate with each other. Payments needs to be an interoperable game, a network of capabilities. Lastly, I would like to highlight the aspect of affordability. So whatever we are producing must make it cheap for the man in the street. It must be there at a very low cost.